Hello there, this is Doug 43851E from RC Groups. I'm going to show you a little bit about how initially configuring the Radian will help you in a lot of pleasure and flying a great plane. First off, let's talk about the battery placement. In here you can see there's a 1300 and it sticks out just a hair. I'd say about 1/3 out into the canopy cavity. And that's pretty typical. It's pretty tight. I mean, I can't pull it right now, so it's in there snug. You don't need any Velcro. Also, you can see the way that the I don't know if you can see it or not. The way that I personally set up the ESC is basically bring the motor wires all the way through the groove, and then point the ESC backwards. In other words, the battery wires in the front, and then they mate up really well. So that also helps out a little bit. The canopy does have a little bit of a problem staying on, so what I ended up doing just to fix it was to add an extra magnet, in this case in the back. Well, epoxy works real good, or foam safe CA. We can go back here and let's look at the elevator. Now, the trim on the elevator is going to be basically just what you would expect, perfectly flat. This is a foam board elevator. I buy these without the elevator, just the bare fuselage and the wing set. And I tend to make my own elevator, so it's got a carbon rod in it. It's hard to see. This is my Night Flyer edition also. I want to show you about these rod stays right here. This is not the stock rod stay. Let me grab these real quick. This is a Dubrow product. It's a catalog number 489. The focus on this camera, I'll apologize, but it's a slightly larger one, not made of brass. It's aluminum with a steel screw. These are going to work really good, and it takes a 1/16 inch hole in your control horn, so you'll have to open that up slightly. Recommend owning, just for basic hobby purposes, what's called a pin vise. And like for instance, I have 4 of them right here, and these hold different size drill bits, and they make quick work and not too much impact from having to hold an electric drill in your hand. Of course, my rechargeable drills have lipos. Okay, so some other issues is that there's going to be no need for adding any weight. The CG on these is typically going to be anywhere from 2.5 to 3 inches. The Radian is very forgiving, and one of the biggest issues when you start flying the Radian is you'll end up doing what's called hammerhead stalls. And what these are is the plane will pitch up when you add throttle, which is normal for a Radian. It's simple to fix that is just to go ahead and, as you advance the throttle to climb, 3/4 typical, go ahead and give it some nose down. Go ahead and give it some down elevator while you're climbing. It's very typical to give it quite a bit. Not all the way, but you know, a little bit. And then when you're done climbing, throttle off, return to neutral, which is when the elevator is going to be flat. Also, I recommend setting up with maximum throws. Maximum throws on the Radian is pretty important, I think, basically because what I found out is that it's a very slow reacting plane. You can see that I have the servos set up with the wires all the way out on the end of the horns, which gives me the maximum throw and leverage from the servo. And as we come back here, we'll notice that I'm going to go ahead and, well, I think for clearance I have it stuck out on the last hole for the control horn for the rudder. And you can see, correct, for the elevator, and you can see on the rudder I'm all the way to the inside, which gives me again the most throw. So that's important with Radian. Like I said, it's very slow reacting plane, and it it wants to have a lot of input, especially when you're down low and you're coming in for a landing and you need to sort of pitch that tail around. So again, when you're taking off and you apply throttle, expect to put in some down elevator, and you can get it to stair step up at about a 45-degree angle climb. I'd say climb about 50 to 100 feet until your airspeed starts coming down, and then you'll level it off with the throttle still on, which means that you're going to be putting in, to level off, quite a bit of down control. And then you'll let it go back up again, and it'll start climbing, and you're going to be somewhere between here and here. So stair step is a good way to do it. Let it climb, kind of level it off a little bit, let it climb a little bit more, level off, let it climb a little bit more, level off, and then go ahead and throttle off, and you're fine. Then you'll be gliding. So no CG adjustments needed by adding extra weight. One thing for sure is to make sure that your wings are fully pushed in together, especially after you land. That's the first thing I do when I pick it up, is shoot the wings back together again. So that's important to do. Basically, that's it as far as the upgrades go. As I mentioned to you before, a piece of fiberglass tape across the top. You want to inspect these screws in the cowling and make sure that they're tight. If they aren't, go ahead and pull them out, trim off the latex, and epoxy them back in. That's the hard stays, what this thing here mounts to, and these hard stays live in the foam. Radian, I've had fuselages last probably 200 hours, and you can buy them. They're like $39, and you can get a new one. It's a Parkzone PKZ 4767 bare fuselage, and I just go ahead and make my own foam board elevator, or you can buy one. And I've never actually gone through a set of wings, but I do have a brand new set in the bag, and that's the PKZ 4720 main wing of the Radian, $34. So and the carbon tube, after a while it'll get a little loose. I just go ahead and add some Mylar packaging tape, a little bit here and a little bit on the other end, to make sure that they integrate solidly. So that's about it. I hope this helps all you Radian flyers out there get going and enjoy just the lazy feel and relaxing flight from the Radian. The Radian Standard. The Pro is like any other electric glider. The polydihedral on the Radian is something that's really special, and it does provide an extreme performance and tons and tons of thermaling. So enjoy it, guys and girls. Hope you have a lot of fun hours with your Radian, and even maybe do some night flying sometime. Have a great one. This is Doug 4385E from RC Groups.